Are you on board, pun intended, with what David was talking about there in the high speed?
I definitely am. I think it'll be a marvelous game changer and a great example for St. Louis of how to move forward in that regard. The Loop Trolley project is going to put 2 conduits in for this project. They have their own agenda and all, which they have to follow and raise the money and all, but we are going to help out any way we can.
Well, you've got the earth turned already there.
Yeah, it'd be 1/10 the cost. Since the streets will be torn up already, it'll be really, really inexpensive compared to doing it. Yeah, relatively.
Okay, you brought a prop. Tell me what's going on here, and tell me what's the latest.
Well, things are moving forward, and who wouldn't want to ride on this? I mean, just it's. I'm
having flashbacks to Mr. Rogers. We're on PBS, and you have a toy train. This is excellent.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Things are going great. It's out for bid right now. The bids are due July 31st, and I think they'll come in under budget or the same as the consultants recommend or estimate, and then we'll pick a contractor and construction will start. It's exciting because utility relocation is already happening. Like Gas is moving some lines, AT&T is working on things, so it's going forward, and hopefully the actual track part will start in September, and we'll just have a marvelous year and a quarter to get it done by the end of 2015 and up and running spring of 2016 after all the safety tests and all the training and all. We want to make sure to do it the right way, do it first class, and that's why it'll take a little extra time, but it'll be worth it.
Remind us where it's going to go now that we might be just not too long from seeing it start to happen here.
It'll be a 2.2-mile route that will go from the library in University City, east on Delmar, to Bolivar, and south on Bolivar, inside Forest Park to the south side of the Missouri History Museum. And there, people can get off and get on the circulator around the park and get to the Science Center, the zoo, the Muni, every place, the art museum. It'll be wonderful. It'll connect the loop to 12 million visitors to Forest Park attractions and vice versa, and be a great way for St. Louis to tell the rest of the country, wow, this is a first-class city. We're embracing clean electric transit as other cities are starting to do more and more. It's the future of cities in this country. There's a great article in the Post recently that pointed out that 20 years ago, 19-year-olds, 87% of them had driver's licenses. Today, only 70% do. That's how much the young people want to live in livable, walkable communities where they don't have to pay for tires, gas, car repairs, insurance, everything that goes along with the expense of a car. Young couples could have 1 car and not 2, and we're setting that pattern so that hopefully we'll expand it. This will be a prototype of how to extend to other cities and other neighborhoods in our city and connect with Metrolink.
So this could, so while some might think this is just a tourist attraction, you think it could be real transit for the city?
Oh, it could be real transit for the city, and it's happening in other cities. The best feasibility study, it really isn't a feasibility study, it's to look to New Orleans, the one out to the Garden District, they've had over a century. And that neighborhood never went up and down all the decades that other neighborhoods in New Orleans did, the same way they have in St. Louis and other cities. They had to decide whether to do a rubber tire look-alike for expansion of their transportation system or do a fixed track system. They've done 2 fixed track systems at huge amounts of money, and it's paying off. It costs more in the beginning to put in a fixed track system, but the operating costs are almost identical to a rubber tire system because combustible engines, burn up faster, and ridership 70% greater.
Can you see that? We just dropped it. There was a sign that's right over there. Check out the sign that says the loop there over your trolley. Have you seen this rendering before?
I've seen the rendering. It's I don't know who did the rendering actually, but it's going to be marvelous when it does happen.
Is there any connection to the Grove? A quick tangent, that looks an awful lot like the sign in the Grove.
It does, and that's why I'm saying I didn't design that.
Okay, got it.
I appreciate the Grove immensely, and I think that was very smart of them to do that sign. No, I've spoken for years about doing a sign like that, not exactly like that, but over Delmar at each end, welcome to the loop. And someday we'll get the funding to do that.
Of course, this is not done without some criticism, without lawsuits. Are you okay with that?
Well, I am. I think it's a great country where anybody can file a suit for any reason and all, and you can be outspoken about it. For every 4 people that still have questions about this project, there are 40,000 in favor of it. I can't tell you how many times a day people come up, oh, when's it going to happen? I can't wait. I can't wait to bring my grandchildren in, get an ice cream cone. I used to ride it. And young people saying, wow, I was in so-and-so city. I was in Memphis, and they have a great system. it's great you're bringing it to St. Louis.
So put me in the mind of a developer. Is it hard to sell your vision? Are the rest of us a little long to catch up?
In this case, not so. Well, it took a while. I mean, I started this in 1997, so I guess it takes a while to
You've been doing it a lot longer than
but,
that when we look at the loop, too. I mean,
right. Oh, yeah, the loop long before that, 1970s early. But one reason it's taking this long was real important to me to try to get this project where we didn't have to use money out of the general budget of either the city of St. Louis or U-City. And that's tricky to do, and we accomplished that, which is amazing. $43 million project coming out of separate funds, so it doesn't have an impact on people's real estate taxes directly and all that, and can set a tone for expansion around it. Lawsuits are funny. The federal judge, dismissed them. Appeal was made, but I'm not too worried about it at all. I think we have compelling reasons why we've done everything right. We've been very careful to make sure to get Federal Transit Administration approval throughout every process and the court's approvals.
Okay, so you could see the loop before the rest of us could see it. You could see this trolley before the rest of us see it. What do you see next for St. Louis that we might not see?
For St. Louis in general, I don't know. I think we're about to enter a golden 5-year period, though. I really do. We were almost entering it when the Great Recession hit and slowed a lot of great projects up or stopped them in their tracks. I think in the next 5 years, St. Louis's central corridor is going to get solid, not all commercial, but just solid all the way from Ladue and Clayton to the Loop, Central West End, Grand Center, Locust, and all the way downtown to the river. And when that happens, we'll accomplish the east to west part, but it's really important we do the north and south part. It'll enable us to start branching out to north and south even more. There's great neighborhoods, especially south right now with Cherokee and the Grove and all coming up, which is just magnificent. And the whole Cortex IKEA thing is also just incredible for really, good jobs and all. And the north side projects, we need to branch that out even more, and I think after this next 5-year period, that'll happen.
Okay, last question. Things change fast these days. I mean, I want my new cell phone software. I want this, that, and the other. It's all happening. You're working on that since 1997. Do developers have the same luxury? Is it hard to be a developer in an impatient society?
Yeah, it is. It is. Although if by building by consensus really is important to me to get more and more people involved and accepting of a project. And when you do it that way, it takes more time. If you try to ram something through with legislation or something, it might be faster, but you might not have everybody in back of it. And I'd rather have people in back of it. St. Louis is can be such a positive city, and it's time for us to get positive by building by consensus, and that's been my goal all these years.